You know that feeling you get at a wedding or a concert? That almost undeniable urge to just get up and dance or sing along. It feels totally natural, right? But what if I told you that impulse is actually connected to the way we, as humans, make sense of the entire universe? Well, today we're going to uncover the real reason behind our universal need to dance, to tell stories, and to create rituals. I mean, really think about it for a second. From the deepest parts of the Amazon to the frozen tundra of Siberia, right into the heart of New York City, every single human culture throughout all of history has some form of dance. And that is no accident. It's actually a fundamental piece of human technology designed to help us answer our biggest, deepest questions about who we are and why we're here. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll tackle the big cosmic question that all of humanity faces. Then, we'll see how myths give us the blueprints for the answers, and how dance, of all things, puts those answers into action. We'll check out some really fascinating examples, uncover a pretty surprising truth about good versus evil, and then we'll bring it all right back to the world we live in today. Okay, so what is this huge fundamental question? Well, it's really all about trying to find our footing. I mean, think about it. We're these tiny beings in this absolutely vast, dynamic universe that is always moving, always changing. And we have this deep, deep need to understand what our part is in this grand cosmic play. Every single day, we're surrounded by these cycles of growth and decay, right? The sun comes up, the sun goes down. Life is born and then it dies. You know, there's actually a scientific term for this natural slide towards disorder. It's called entropy. And all of life, including us, is in this constant pushback against it, trying to create order and meaning out of all that potential chaos. So how do we push back? Well, humanity's oldest and maybe most powerful tool is storytelling, specifically creation myths. And these aren't just simple bedtime stories. They're incredibly sophisticated blueprints that literally map out a culture's entire understanding of reality. Think of them like a society's foundational software. All right, the fancy term for this blueprint is a cosmology. It's basically a culture's operating system. It tells you everything, where the universe came from, how it all works, what's truly important, and exactly how you're supposed to act. So, and this is the key, the cosmology sets the rules of the game for an entire society. So what happens when you have different blueprints? You get radically different worlds. For example, take the Hebrew Genesis story. You've got a single male creator, which in turn establishes a social order where men have primacy. Now compare that to the Hawaiian Kumulapo. It starts with cosmic motion and sets up a society ranked by sacred chiefs, where gender doesn't matter for power. Or the Hopi emergence story, which creates this deep sense of community interdependence, where everyone is responsible for keeping the world in balance. See? Different blueprints, totally different societies. Okay, so you've got the blueprint, right? The map of the cosmos. But it's one thing to have a map, and it's something else entirely to actually make it real. How do you take these huge, abstract ideas and turn them into something you can feel, something you can live? Well, you perform them. And one of the most powerful ways humans do that is through dance. I just love this quote. It gets right to the point. Dance and song aren't just ordinary things we do. They are extraordinary. They are how we literally generate energy, how we push back against that cosmic slide into disorder. Dance is the action that makes the myth real. It lets us become a part of the cosmic story. Now, let's stick with that software analogy. If the myth is the operating system, then the dance, well, that's the program actually running. And the specific rules of that operating system, the cosmology, they dictate exactly how that program has to be performed. Now, to really get how this works, we need to understand this idea of signatures. Think of it like this. A signature is a shared, essential quality between two things. It's the belief that things that share a core characteristic can actually influence one another. This isn't just about symbols, you guys. We're talking about a real, working connection in their worldview. Okay, let me give you a couple of really cool examples. For the Hopi, a dancer's loosened, flowing hair shares the signature of flowing with falling rain. So by embodying that signature, the dancer believes they can actually influence the weather. Or for Hawaiians, the word lele means to fly away. That's the signature of a certain kind of sugarcane, but it's also the signature of knowledge. So a Hula student is forbidden from eating it because they believe their hard-earned knowledge would also fly away.
And you can see this so clearly when you look at two cultures that are right next to each other but have different blueprints. Based on their cosmology, Hopi dancers literally transform and become the supernatural Katsina spirits. Their dance is centripetal. It moves inward, circling the center of their world to strengthen the community. The Navajo, on the other hand, often use dance for healing. A sick person becomes the hero of a myth, and their ritual movement is centripetal. It moves outward, on a journey to the edges of their world to find a cure. Same tool, dance, but totally different goals based on their cosmic blueprint.
And this brings us to a really big idea, one that kind of turns our whole Western idea of good versus evil on its head. See, a lot of us are raised on these stories of light versus dark, where one has to win, right? But many cosmologies just don't see the universe that way at all. I mean, that's a total game changer, right? In this worldview, forces like winter or even death, they aren't evil. They're necessary. Yeah, they're dangerous for sure, and they have to be managed, but they are an absolutely essential part of the cosmic cycle. You can't have new growth without some deterioration. You know the best way to picture this? Think of a Mobius strip. It's that loop of paper with a half twist in it, which means it only has one single continuous side. You can't separate the inside from the outside. Well, that's like the forces of creation and decay. They're part of one endless process. So rituals aren't about winning some final victory. They're about managing the turnings of this endless cosmic cycle.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. You can see it in practice. For decades, outsiders watched the Yaqui Passion play and thought it was just a simple reenactment of good versus evil. But when they finally asked the Yaqui people, they said, no, that's not it at all. For them, this huge 40-day ritual is all about renewing their vows to the cosmic cycle, getting realigned with those forces, and becoming re-empowered for the year ahead. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this is all really fascinating history about ancient cultures. But the thing is, this ancient human tech, making myths, performing rituals, it's not just alive and well, it's thriving and evolving all around us, right now. For instance, just look at the modern powwow. It's actually a pretty recent invention, but it's become this incredibly powerful ritual for creating a shared identity of Indianness. It's like a cultural common language for people from dozens of totally distinct tribal nations.
Or how about this? The Tara Mandala dance. This was an ancient Tibetan ceremony that for centuries was only performed by monks. But recently, it's been re-choreographed for American women, creating a powerful new ritual that connects them to an ancient tradition in a totally modern way.
And listen, this isn't some tiny fringe movement. There are over 200,000 people just in America today who are actively practicing ancient European traditions, Celtic, Druidic, Wiccan. And you can bet that nearly all of those practices involve some form of ritual dance to connect with their cosmology. So, what's the big takeaway here? This quote just nails it. The myths, the cosmologies, they're like the invisible software that runs a culture's worldview. And the rituals, the dances, those are the hard copies. They're how we make that software real, how we live it, how we feel it, and how we pass it on. And that, of course, brings this whole thing right back to you, because this ancient human impulse is still inside every one of us. So I'll just leave you with this question. What are your rituals? I mean, what are the things you do over and over, big or small, a family dinner, a holiday tradition, maybe just the Saturday morning walk, that create order, that generate energy, and that push back against that slide into disorder in your own life? Think about it. You might just be participating in a cosmic dance that's as old as humanity itself.